thank you again so much, everyone, for coming. My name is Angelique Jackson. I'm one of the senior entertainment writers with Variety, and it is my pleasure to be here on this 10-year anniversary of Kering Women in Motion. And it's truly my pleasure to be here with the legendary César Award winner and also Best Actress of Cannes Award winner, and truly our very own Etoile, Charlotte Gainsbourg.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, we are back here at Cannes, and you have, of course, a long history with this festival. What does Cannes mean to you?
Well, in my mind, I have all the Brigitte Bardot pictures of, you know, those black and white, that era. But then I had difficulties with Cannes. It was too exposed, and I was young, and my first best memory is with Lars von Trier. Yeah. And because I was so proud to have done that film, to be able to present it here. I don't know, it was very, very special, very special. And then, of course, to get that prize. But so ever since, I have that beautiful memory. Mm.
What is the memory? Do you remember when you found out that you won the award?
Yeah, I was back in Paris. Sure. Because I can't remember how long before the ending ceremony it was, but I got a phone call from Thierry Frémaux, and oh gosh, I was so excited. But he just said, "Come back. I can't say more, but come back." And then I saw that Lars wasn't there, and so I sort of understood.
Yes, 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 because it is a little bit secretive. They can't tell you all the information.
No, they just say, get on a plane, the film has a prize, yeah. And you don't know.
Well, it is a beautiful performance, and in that case, of course, a beautiful start to a long collaboration that also led you behind the camera as well, yes. Because you began directing. I understand Lars kind of gave you the push a little.
He did for music videos, yeah. Because I asked him to film my first music video of a very special album, well, my last album, but it's been a while now. And he said, no, I don't have the time, but I'll tell you exactly what to do. Just follow my guide. And I did. I followed, it was like an exercise, so I followed exactly what he told me to do, and then I was free. Then I did them all, and it was fun. And then I did this documentary on my mother.
Yes. What was it like to bring that documentary here and to be here with her?
I was so surprised because it's a documentary. I had no idea that we could find a place here. And this film today, now that she's gone, is so huge for me. It's I was scared all through the shoot that she would die. I was scared, even being superstitious. Once I knew that we were coming, then I was scared because she was so sick. And she flew in a helicopter to get here, really last minute. And she was as surprised as I was. But we were sharing this very special moment, but when we started, we had no idea. First of all, I started with her hating it.
Yes.
And she asked me to stop, and I stopped for 2 years. And then we started again, and then it was a lovely adventure, but it took a few steps.
Yeah. Well, because it's challenging to, but also very important and beautiful, as you said, to have that experience of being able to ask all those questions of someone who you know as one thing, your mother, yeah. But you get a chance to really know her as a person through making a film like this.
And I think she thought that it would be a professional documentary.
Sure.
You know, and then she felt trapped. That maybe I was going to accuse her of, you know, she was always saying she was a bad mother. So, no, it was just to get inside her, but it was really to be close to her a long while.
And it's beautiful because you allow us to be close to her too. And again, it's a continuation of that journey for you as you continue in another artistic realm of sharing yourself and your vision and your thoughts. And do you still want to direct more?
It's been a difficult, very challenging, because this one was so strong that I don't think I'm a director. I think I can have a vision, and I have an appetite but maybe not for telling a story. It has to be weird in a way, and I haven't found it. So we'll see.
But you certainly seem to have found something in your new series, In Etoile, created by Amy Sherman-Palladino, Daniel Palladino. What was it about them or about Geneviève that made you so interested?
I had only read 4 episodes out of 8, and it was enough for me to say yes. Enough, but weird to say yes to half a project.
Sure.
You don't know what's going to happen. But I met them, and I loved what they said about the series. I knew that they would put a lot of attention in the aesthetics. I knew that they were really, really keen in showing a very special aspect of dance, even ballet. And then my character, I loved her. She was my secret. It's something she's part of me, of course, but there's something that's amusing, and I can have fun with her.
Well, tell me a little bit about that idea, because we're so used to seeing a more dramatic version, but this is your first time doing not just a comedy, but a comedy in English, but it was one that is both in English and French. How did you find the rhythm of this show?
Switching from English to French is easy.
Sure.
That's easy. No, but I do it in one sentence with my children. I switch. But it's the first time that I can do it on film. And I found the rhythm really different, and the comedy rhythm very different. First of all, it's not, it's a translation and made the best possible way, but it's still a translation. So I think, for me, the writing is in the English. But then I had my fellow, I started with Cheyenne speaking French, yes. And then we switched to English for no reason at all, but just for pleasure.
Yes, because it felt right.
Yeah.
I mean, did you find that in working with Amy, especially? I mean, there's very fast-paced dialogue that she likes to do. It's all very particular. How did you find, in your creativity working with her?
She did mention this pace thing, that's the word that I would hear the most, and she was right. But I understand that comedy has a rhythm, and that her writing has a rhythm. So it took me a little while to adapt, because I'm very slow, and it's my way of understanding, and I move slowly, and suddenly even the character, it gave me, comment on dit nervosité? Nervosity? No.
Sure.
Yeah? Yeah. Nervosity. That was a bit comical, and that added something. So I had fun with that pace, but it was very challenging. Very challenging. I have a horrible memory. So it's good in a way, because for every project, it means that I can only focus. And I can't do anything else.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I also say nervosity is a good word for it is because this is a character that she's kind of falling apart, but also pretending to hold it all together as the head of the Paris Ballet. Tell me a little bit about how you wanted to kind of visually and physically represent that.
It was easy because in the script I had that accessory of my shoes.
Sure.
And for me, as soon as I was taking my shoes off, I was myself putting my shoes back on, those high heels. Also the red shoes, because of the red shoes.
Yeah.
It had a lot of meaning. And it was exactly her in representation, I mean, the head of the ballet, and then being back to the wreck she is in real life.
What interested you about exploring that with her? Because it's not something you necessarily think about in a comedy.
What the...
That she's really quite depressed.
That's funny in comedy. I find that people who are well, they're not very funny. So
It's true. Too well adjusted.
And what I felt was fun was that I'm completely the opposite. People think I'm fragile and delicate, and in fact I'm very strong. Yeah. And she's very strong in appearance, and in fact she's completely, yes, vulnerable and fragile.
I mean, that is actually such kind of a beautiful and vulnerable thing for you to say, because I think you've obviously grown up. You mentioned Cannes being very challenging at first because it was so public. You've grown up very much in the public sphere, and everybody thinks that they know who you are. At what point did you kind of find your own self-confidence and your like selfhood as an artist?
To be perfectly sincere, if I did, very recently, because I was always my parents' daughter. I think that's why my mother pushed a little, because my father wanted to do that song, Lemon Incest, with me. She thought that it would be a good idea if I had something else on the side on my own. And so I did my first film at the same time. But then being recognized for myself, I think gave me a bit of strength, but I was so shy. That was my personality. I couldn't change it. I was shy. I loved doing films. I loved being in front of a camera with a crew, but at the same time, all the publicity around was, for me, not part of the deal. I didn't, at 12, 13, I didn't understand why I had to answer questions, why I had to do pictures. And I was the opposite of my father. My father was saying, but you don't care about this, cette couverture, cette couve, t'as la couve. And I didn't care. I didn't understand what was the big deal. So it's only very late that I can't say that I love doing interviews, but I'm much more talkative. Maybe I was having fun with journalists also in the beginning, because I could see how embarrassed they were. You know, I would be so silent.
And we hate silence, journalists. You can't write silence. But that is a good point, and it is quite fun to be able to have that. I actually do wonder.
But yes, sorry. In a way, it was confidence.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to sell myself. I didn't want to answer questions that were concerning my parents. I was very stubborn, and I didn't force myself into anything because I didn't have to. I was only doing those films for fun. But then it changed, because when I decided to really be an actress and do films full time, then I couldn't sell myself. I couldn't, go and try and find parts, and I was still waiting for people to come to me.
Yeah. What has that experience been like? At what point, or rather, I guess, not what has it been like, but how have you then navigated it and found those right parts for you?
I don't think the only projects I fought for were, going to meet Lars von Trier, thinking that he hated me, so that I didn't do a scene, I was just meeting him, but then going back, I thought, okay, I'll never get this. So this was something I really wanted. The film I did, 21 Grams, I really wanted it. I was so pregnant. I went to Los Angeles. The part was about a woman who couldn't get pregnant, and I was there with my big... and it made me so proud to have those challenges, because when you get everything just because someone wants you, and it doesn't make you believe that you can do it, or it means that you always have to wait for a person to validate you. Yeah. Whereas when you fight for something, then you feel that you own it. Yeah. Mm.
What are you fighting for now as you, yes, go.
I'm doing a very challenging film. It's not finished, but I'm doing a woman, I'm trying to be Gisèle Halimi, who was a great lawyer for women's rights, and it's incredibly challenging because I've grown to love her so much, and she's not here to give me tips.
Well, tell me a little bit about the importance of getting an opportunity to portray her, but not just because you admire her, but also the work that she has done.
I didn't know. I thought it was Simone Weil who did the law for abortion. I had no idea that it started with Gisèle Halimi defending, because the film is about Bobigny and that trial, about this young girl, she was 16, raped and found guilty. In the end, not, but. Yeah. So I read everything I could about Gisèle Halimi, what she did before in Algeria, defending soldiers. It's very, c'est très impressionnant. It's not impressive, it's very, comment on dit?
Incredible.
What? Touching?
No, ça m'impressionne, c'est... Impressive? Yeah, she's such a strong character that I was very shy about being able to portray such a huge woman.
Sure.
And that's what we do when we act. No, I'm not a lawyer. I haven't done her studies. I'm here. But I don't know why. It made me very, very shy and quite incapable in those first days of the shoot. I thought I would never be able to do it. Bon.
What is it that you think you tapped into? How did
I
you?
have no idea. I doubt, you may have noticed, I doubt a lot about myself. I don't want to see my films anymore. I just have so much pleasure acting, forgetting about myself, diving in a character, being with other actors. That's my fun. To see the result is not something I don't need to see it.
What is it about, and I wonder if it is, as you said, because of being shy, what is it about putting on another character that you found you love so much?
I think it's because I'm able to challenge myself, because I have a quiet life, and I can play loud characters. And comedies take me even further. And films with laughs took me in the, you know, pushing my limits and boundaries, and that's what I love. I love the provocation. I love his provocation. It reminds me of my father's, and that's another era, you know. But I wouldn't be able to do that without them.
I know I've heard you mention that Melancholia, of course, is another film that you're particularly proud of.
Yeah.
But I always am curious, you know, when you play these big characters, you play these loud characters, or actually not even specific to the characters, but what are you maybe the most proud of about the work that you've put out there, the art that you've made, both as an actor, a musician, an artist in general?
It's not me. It's really thanks to a director, and it's Lars. It's Melancholia. Just because I didn't see it, I saw it. No, maybe twice. So it once with him and once here. But I love the film. It's not really about me. So what I'm proud, and it's not modesty either. I'm not modest at all. But I just don't. I see all the faults, which is normal. You know, you see everything you could have done better. Cool.
Well, I think it's in large part because I know you say that you don't think you're a director, but in a lot of ways, you almost have that director's eye in being able to kind of curate and see the full vision. You can see it very much, you know, in the music videos that you've made, in the documentary. There is just this full scope, and I think we also see it as audience members in the way you act.
I don't know. It's very different to be an actress under the direction of Amy and Dan, and then to be behind the camera or behind a mic when it's your project. You defend what you want to say. It's so easy to say other people's words. You know, it's very comfortable. So music and the music videos and the documentary was much more challenging, but it means that in the end, you're so much more proud, yeah.
Last, as we talk about Amy, what was the kind of biggest challenge or difference, kind of being a part of this big, you know, Hollywood TV production in the middle of Paris? What was that experience like?
It was really wonderful. Because their crew was great. To be able to be with the same people for 9 months, you don't get this in the movies, because you know, you see people for 2 months, you say, oh, we'll have dinner, and you never do. With all these guys, it was a real long story, and yes, it was my hometown, but I'm ashamed, but I don't love Paris that much. They did. So they made me see it with their eyes, which was great. And then I just begged for them to write more stuff in New York for me. but my part is not meant to be in New York, so I have one episode in New York. And they were very gracious because I stayed there the whole time, the whole shoot.
You said, I don't worry, I'll be right here if
Yeah.
you need to reshoot,
Exactly.
need a second or third take. Well, we wish that we could have as much time with you as they did. We would love to have 9 months. But we do appreciate so much you being so willing to, you know, do something that, as you mentioned, interviews are not your favorite.
Yeah, no, it was nice, it was nice.
No, it is truly a pleasure and an honor, and we're happy to be here. And yet another hometown of yours is you bring the Phoenician Scheme
Yes.
with Wes Anderson. What was it like working with him?
It was so much fun, but it was, for me, 2 days putting a costume that, you know, you're dropped in a world that made no sense because I didn't know what, you know, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And here was God. It was Bill Murray playing God with his clouds. The whole thing was so funny, and a Wes Anderson film.
This is, it feels like you're very much in your comedy era now.
I
Is
think
that?
so. No, but you know what? I did live through a tragedy with my mum's death, and I was chosen for Étoile. She was sick, and then I lost her, and then we started Étoile. So it was very heavy. My life was really heavy. To be able to be on a comedy, light, you're having fun. It's a real chance.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
healing and remarkably in the very artistic lane that she suggested that you
Yes.
go down.
Yes.
A
And
beautiful.
she always said, "You're meant for comedy."
Well, you're just fulfilling your mother's wishes. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all so much for joining us.